I posted this on Twitter. We get asked all the time, top trade targets. You've identified yours. You're a Lou Bob guy, Luis Robert. My guy, I read in an article today about Jim Bowden. Jim Bowden says that Brent Rooker of the Oakland A's is, quote, expected to be moved this deadline. As soon as I read that, I was like, I'm in. I found my guy. He's got some flaws. We'll talk through them. But here's the case for Brent Rooker. Here, let me give you a little bio. This is a fascinating story. I don't know how much you know about this guy's sort of the journey to Major League Baseball, but it's pretty crazy to think I'm about to talk about him in the way that I am. 35th pick back in 2017, works his way through the minors. 2020, he debuts with the Twins. 2022, traded to the Padres in the Taylor Rogers, Chris Paddock deal. So I love the fact that the Padres had this guy. 4 months later, the Padres trade Brent Rooker to the Royals. He gets DFA'd. Claimed by the A's, earned a spot on the team out of spring, and then makes the All-Star team and hits 30 bombs. This guy was DFA'd by the Royals and then hits 30 home runs as an All-Star. Comes back this year, continues to hit. He's got 3 years of team control after this one. Not even in arbitration yet. Arbitration starts next year. Savant is the stuff that gets me excited. You look at this guy's page, there is a lot of red, and I am talking dark red. Last year, 93rd percentile barrel rate, 91st percentile hard hit, 85th percentile expected or exit velocity, 80th percentile expected slugging. The bad, the worst whiff rate in the league. First percentile for whiff rate, although he did walk, 60th percentile. This year, 96th percentile expected weighted on base average, 98th percentile expected slug, 95th percentile barrel, 92nd percentile hard hit, 84th percentile exit velocity. Yes, second percentile in strikeout rate, third percentile in whiff rate, but 76th percentile for walk rate. So I know I already got the feedback on Twitter, Scott. He swings and misses too much. He strikes out too much. We don't need another guy like this. But here's my counter. He walks a lot, 60th and 76th percentile the last 2 years. And you know me, and I think you're on the same page. I trust the Savant stuff. If you're hitting the crap out of the ball, hard hit rate, barrel rate, expected slug, all that translates. That is sustainable. And yes, I know he can't play defense. He's terrible defensively. Throw him in left field, average speed, put him in the right spots, and cross your fingers. It figures it out. I'm all in on Brent Rooker, Scott. He's my guy.
Oh, I hear you. Well done. Hey. If you had to sell me, that was solid.
You ready to buy?
I'm not so ready to buy. I'll tell you a couple reasons why. You know, he's a pre-arbitration guy. Like he's got, I think, 3 more years of team control here. You know, you go back to 2020. I was ready for this.
Real quick, am I allowed to ban the Dodger Blue account? Josh Reddick propaganda in the chat. What are we doing? What are we doing here, Scott? This is not acceptable. Josh Reddick? Come on.
He's going A's flashback. So, you know, dating back to 2020, among outfielders with 1,000 plate appearances, he is number 2 in of all qualifying guys of 119 with a 32.8 K rate.
That's fine.
You know, he's behind only Joey Gallo.
There you go, baby. Oh God. So Blake's all in on this guy already.
So he is so bad defensively. He in 600 innings, he has -8 DRS.
It's fine.
And you know,
position he's the A's, man.
But it's the cost for 3 more years of arbitration, cost controlled guy. That's not going to be cheap just for a bat. Like that's not something. That's a lot. I think that'll be a lot. I think it'll
Robert's got what, 2 more years of team control after this?
He is locked in through 2027 with club options in 26 and 27. And he has the ability to be an absolute star. And I don't think Brent Rooker has that type of ceiling.
So they're the same.
We're talking about like
after this.
Those two are not here. They are here. Robert's up here. Rooker's down here. I'm with you. He's a bat. And we talked about it last year about bringing Brent Rooker in, but it just didn't feel like they were going to do that type of thing. It's just the negatives defensively there. You just said he's a DH and you'd have to throw him in left field there, but it's a guy that has 3 cost control of arbitration years. And somebody saying Joey Gallo comps. I mean, he makes a lot of hard contact, strikes out a ton, I know he has cited his walk rate, but if you want to go get somebody who has a little, is going to be way cheaper, you can get, Mark Canha. Like you can go get Mark Canha, Tommy Pham.
Yeah, I don't want cheap value. I want a guy in Rooker who's top 10 percentile in hard hit and exit velocity.
It's going to cost you a bit. It's going to
because
cost you
the
a
thing
bit.
about Robert's strikeout rate is a little, it's better. It's a little bit better, 29% last year, but the walk rate is 5%. So like Robert, if I'm going back to 2023, he's the 3rd percentile chase rate, 10th percentile whiff rate, 14th percentile strikeout rate. So that's better than Rooker. It's not good. He's the 7th percentile for walk rate. So the offensive profile is similar in that he strikes out a little bit less and walks dramatically less than Brent Rooker. I would guess that Robert is actually more expensive than Brent Rooker would be. And my issue with Robert is just the obvious that he's missing too many games.
But yeah, without a doubt, he'll be more expensive. But since 2020, he has the 12th highest slug of all outfielders, Luis Robert. Like that's why I said, like, the bar is like for both of them. Rooker's down here, Robert's up here. Like, there's a clear difference in quality of who Luis Robert is. Like, we're talking, like, if that's a move they make, like, it's going to be a move. Like, that's why you don't hear conversations like, yeah, they're going to go get a package like the Padres gave up for Juan Soto. It's totally different stuff. But I mean, if they're going to be cheap, then I don't think it's Brent Rooker, because he's still going to cost a little bit. Like, you're going to have to give up a piece. It's not just going to be some throw-ins. Like, Brent Rooker is he's a quality bat for all the reasons you laid out. And that it made me a fan. It made me say, hey, if they have the opportunity to get it and they make that move, then I'm for it. But I'm telling you that if they want to just go be cheap on a 1-year guy on an expiring contract, they don't have to go get Brent Rooker and have to go give up a top person. There's options out there on expiring contracts. But so back to the long term, this is why your argument makes sense for it. They don't have much in the future for it. So that's why I'd say, okay, if they did it, then they're all in on, and they believe his defense is not that big of an issue. I'm just saying, like, if they don't want to go ahead with that and people have an issue, why to question it? And that's why, because he's got control. It's going to cost a bit. He's not just a toss-in type of guy. He is a bat.
No, yeah, he'll cost for sure. And I mean, by the way, Rooker this year and last year, so 192 games, his slugging percentage the exact same as Luis Robert since 2020. So if we're just taking the last 2 years of Rooker, Robert, 502, same slug. Let me ask you this question, because I think this is the difference between you and me. I'll make my statement. You tell me if you agree or disagree. I am more concerned about Robert's health history than I am Rooker's defense. That's why I land on Rooker instead of Robert. The fact that Robert, we're talking about a guy who has only played 13 games this season. He played 145 last year. Prior to that, 98, 68, 56. To me, that's a far greater concern. The Dodgers coaches can do nothing about health. They can put Rooker and tell him to stand 7 steps to the left and put him in the best possible position to succeed. He's got average speed. It's not like he's an unathletic guy. So to me, that's the difference between these two guys, and that's why I lean Rooker.
No, sure. Yeah, no, I agree. But if you're going to compare just, that type of stuff between Robert and Rooker, then it makes all the sense to just go full-fledged on Brent Rooker. But my ceiling for what Robert can bring is a superstar quality guy. Like, there's a reason why coming into the year, a lot of people pegged him as the second best center fielder in all of baseball. So it's just, health is definitely going to be a concern, but we're talking about ceiling. Does Brent Rooker move the needle for you as much as Luis Robert's, what his ceiling can be? Honestly.
I mean, the injuries terrify me with Robert. These two guys had the same weighted runs created plus last year, by the way, 128, 127, Robert and Rooker. And Robert hasn't played at all this year, and Rooker's even better this year than he was last year, 155 through 55 games this year. So, look, it's one of these guys that, like, it's a late career, right? I talked about this guy getting DFA'd and then hitting 30 bombs for the Oakland A's in the same season. That's insane. The fact that he's continuing to do it, the savant stuff behind the scenes. His savant page is better than Luis Robert's. Like, to me, it comes down to both guys have a huge hole in their game. It's health for Robert and it's defense for Rooker, and sort of picking your poison there. It to me is the difference.
I mean, the sample on Luis Robert is not kind of fair to use a savant page this year for him.
No, I didn't say this year. I said last. I'm ignoring savant's page from this year for Luis Robert.
I don't care. Like, we're talking about a DH corner outfielder, and then Luis Robert plays a premier position in center field. Like, if you're getting superstar caliber offense from a center fielder, that's an insane guy to get. That's why I'm saying the cost from Rooker to Luis Robert is you can't. It's really tough to compare. If you want me to say a guy that's like, I'm going to oppose you on Brent Rooker. If you want me to say the same type of stuff, I'm going to say, okay, don't pay as much and just go get Tommy Pham, someone who was quality stuff there. And
those guys aren't in the same stratosphere. I don't think Rooker and Pham are in the same stratosphere.
I'm just speaking in terms of if you don't want to go out and spend for a corner outfielder because you can go find guys like Teoscar Hernandez on the market for a 1-year contract, then you don't, and you can avoid having to go spend on a guy who has 3 arbitration years left, who everybody knows can hit. That's what I'm saying. Like the Dodgers, I don't think they're gonna give up big quality pieces for Brent Rooker with arbitration years. That's just my pause on it. I'm with you. Like if they do it, then I know what type of quality he is. I'm just giving you why I don't think the Dodgers will do it, because I think if they're going to make a trade like that and they're going to give up meaningful pieces, it's going to be for some oomph. Like it's going to be somebody that's, because they've been doing it. They need the upside. They really do. They need someone that they can say, yeah, we made this move and his ceiling is an all-star, top 3 at the position quality guy. That's my thing on it.
Yeah. I don't think, again, I think it's a clear, like, I'm not saying I'll take Robert's shortcomings over Rooker's is a total, like, there's a clear right answer or wrong answer. I just think for me, I believe in the savant stuff that I see from Rooker. I think the Dodgers historically have had an ability to mask some defensive sort of faults in guys, AKA Jock Peterson. And you're getting a guy in Rooker that's basically a Jock Peterson that you don't have to platoon and take off of the field one day versus the other. And I do think if you're the Dodgers, you want to go out and get a guy who's got 3 arbitration years, because if you're paying everybody else, you don't want to have to keep going and giving $25 million a year to Teoscar Hernandez in the corner. Or if you do want to give Teoscar $25 million, you want the guy playing the other corner outfield to be in his arbitration years for the next 3 years, and your center fielder, whether it's Pages or Outman or whoever, to be in his arbitration years, so that you're spreading out some costs. So a name to keep an eye on. I just like the savant stuff. All of your concerns are fair. The defensive concerns are fair. You make a totally valid point that Robert, we're not comparing to like bad defense to average defense. We're comparing it to elite defense. Robert, 97th percentile in fielding run value last year. Of course, like you said, playing a premium position. Now, they have a couple guys who can play center field, so that isn't necessarily a huge quote-unquote need, but you're not going to turn it down if it comes up. If it's me, Dodgers lineup I'm looking at, and we're talking about a guy who's going to be hitting 7th, I would just rather take the guy who I know is going to be in the lineup a little bit more consistently than the guy I'm not entirely positive 3 months from now what the health situation is. But I think both are intriguing options. Both are names that I'm sure we'll hear pop up in trade conversations a lot over the next couple of weeks.